Welcome back to Beyond Good and Evil. So yeah, time to finally conclude the reportage on the Slaughterhouse and see where this takes us if we can manage to find Pey'j, because things are getting grimmer as the seconds pass by.
You're telling me. Interior moats. Goody, are the crocodiles there?
I think, no, I think it's basically, yeah, there you go. I just exiting this area because I did the investigation, but I need to get to the third area. I think. But I still need to get also one of the hidden animals that roam around this place, so I can show you. I think I'll show that first. There we go. If I can manage to pass the minefield first.
Keep going! I'm sure you won't pop eventually!
There you go, Jova, it's fine. The nanobots healed everything.
Sweet.
If I have to be honest, the Slaughterhouse, since it's the central dungeon in the mid two-thirds part of the game, it's obviously also the longest, and it can get a bit tiring because it's kind of like a marathon of sorts, compared to the other dungeons that are more short and quick. But overall it's fine, and considering how the length of the game is still short on its own, I don't really mind too much. There we go. Now we need to get back here where we were, but instead of actually raising the gate, we need to, get a bit trickier with what we can do here, and also with what Double H can do. There we go. Just by jumping out here and asking Double H to press.
I won't move from here. I'll cover your back, Miss Jade.
Thanks.
Much appreciated.
There we go. If we move on the balcony like that, then we ask Double H to push.
Okay.
There we go. By raising the gate, we can actually access to a hidden area. I do this.
Jova, are you okay?
It's not Toy Story. Sorry, Jova.
No, it's the oohs and ahs you hear when you see a wondrous sight. Look at all that red. Oh, and rats! They're so adorable!
Not to mention, Teo, the whole that was kind of a cartoon cliche back in the 90s. It's more common than you think.
Anyway, there you go. There is something, but the flames are blocking the view, so we need to find a way to, alter that.
Something of organic matter. I'm guessing that's the burnt crisp of whatever fool tried to hang out there.
Or maybe, Jova, just like, for example, the phoenix, it's an animal that has adapted to live in the fire.
Fascinating.
For example, one of your...
There we go.
Huh.
It's an Innisinifera.
Perfect. I'll add it to the list.
It looks like one of those aliens from Chicken Little.
Yes, or a wisp. It looks like a wisp.
The flying wisp, maybe? What's the name of the flying wisp?
The red one.
The red one? Is it like falcon wisp or
eagle?
With the eagle.
Eagle, that's it. Eagle wisp.
America.
That's it.
Anyway, you were saying, Jova? Or Peter, forgot.
Guess not. Alright then.
The androids are still after us.
Any reason we're just chilling here, Tio?
No, I was just jump cutting, I think, because again, I needed to. There you go. I needed to find a way to, proceed in the correct pace for commentary purposes. There you go. Now I need to wait for Double H to raise the gate again, so I can jump back down. There we go.
Excellent.
After this, we can move to the last major area of the Slaughterhouse. There we go.
And let me guess, this last one's gonna be a doozy, ain't it?
Like I said, you can tackle them in each order you prefer, so there's no real, major problem in what order you choose. I honestly think the middle one was the worst.
There you go.
Because it was more long and everything.
In terms of difficulty,
Did you fight off the androids, Pey'j?
The atmosphere.
Yes, I fought them off with my Ethernet cable.
The alpha sections have trying to get in Pedro
so...
because they know that he knows the truth and they need to silence him.
Okay, so this time it was your internet connection that attacked me.
No, Jova, if it was my internet connection, then the video wouldn't still be going. It's just that Discord, for some reason, hates my wireless connection. And it's just that, because the video is still going just peachy, in HD, for the record. So
how does Ethernet cable solve the problem?
Either that, or my internet hates Discord, one of the two. Apparently,
one of them is very selective either way.
Yes, I'm by no means an electronics expert, but I'm pretty sure this is not usual. But anyway, the point that I was trying to make...
Go on.
The point that I was trying to make... Well, Theo, actually, one of your favorite cartoon creators, Gendy Tartakovsky, was actually one who used a lot back when he was making Dexter's Laboratory before Samurai Jack. Because every time Dee Dee went into Dexter's Laboratory, she always went like, ooh,
of course.
What does this button do? So,
but Dee Dee was just a bitch, so...
She was.
Yeah.
If you can go
One of these days, though, I have to show you a Dexter's Lab. One of the select few good... Oh, sorry. Dialogue.
No. Basically, it's Double H confirming that we're on the right track. But no, I've seen episodes on my own Dexter Laboratory, and you still show them to me as well.
Sure.
So
No, I'm just saying, like, for the most part, are terrible, except for a couple exceptions. And one of the exceptions is the parody on comic books too, where Dexter literally inserts himself into a comic book.
well, doesn't he really have the sideshow with the Avengers knockoff?
Yeah, but that's...
I mean, no. The Super Pals.
Super Pals. No,
Are
but that's
Seasons
different.
3 and 4 the ones with the animation change?
Yes.
Okay.
Those are... No, but that's different too. They literally replicate the look of the 1960s Marvel cartoons. And to give you an idea, in that same comic, Dee Dee is the villain, a villain named Destructor.
Of course.
Perfect name.
And guess what, Theo? They have
Hold on, this is actually important. You see these bubbles? If you actually knew the right trick, basically, like I think it's standing, yeah, there you go, right there, and aiming, you can find a jumping bean-like creature, and you can photograph it if you manage to be fast enough to actually get it. There we go. It's moving like that through a series of hiding spots, but you need to be quick about it. I'll answer more. I think I managed to get it right now with this attempt. There we go.
Aha!
A Timorea saponifera.
Splendid.
Basically a parasite that lives in soap.
Your roll of film is
We're
finished.
only having, I think, only one roll of film to go with. So we're actually close with that. But go on, Pedro, in the meantime.
No, and well, look at the bright side. You also get to see an adult, muscular superhero version of Dexter, voiced by Jeff Bennett.
Of course. Wasn't he already working for Cartoon Network voicing Johnny Bravo at that time?
Not just that, he was Dexter's father in that show. So.
Wait. Jeff Bennett was his father?
Yeah, Jeff Bennett played Dexter's father.
Oh, yeah, true.
There's an episode, if you want to see Jeff Bennett at his best, audience, check out the episode about the coffee from Dexter's Laboratory. That shows Jeff Bennett at his best.
Also some genuine reaction.
We drank it all.
Genuine reaction about people who need coffee in the morning to get up.
No, Jeff Bennett is generally brilliant with that. You drank the coffee. You too drank the coffee.
Yeah, that episode's a classic.
See, I usually just wait till I get to work before I have one, because at least there's plenty there.
I just get a cup of tea.
With this other puzzle, if you have a Double H push the button and you put in position, you can take a photo of this next animal that is right there. There you go. There we go. Alameva saltans, because Kennedy jumps, so they use that term. Jesus.
Dwibs, as much as I prefer tea overall, I need a coffee in the morning.
I'd rather drink mud than drink coffee.
Well, keep in mind. Well, the last I checked, tea doesn't have caffeine. It's the caffeine that makes it easier.
Actually,
to
tea is heavily caffeinated. The regular stuff.
Actually, last I checked, it had its own thing called tein, which has the same properties.
Oh, really?
It depends.
A lot of herbal teas don't have it, but, like, say, more common teas do have it.
Keep it mind you, most of the time, for a lot of things, the caffeine thing that is, but I use this to, either calm down, go to sleep, or to actually, you know, not go to sleep. Hold on, Waves, give me a second. It's placebo effect, basically. So, and anyway, yes, Waves.
What do you call it when a bunch of people at work decide to work together to make a cup of tea for everybody?
Communism.
Tea work.
Get out of the call.
But sure. In that case, what's up with chamomile tea making you sleepy?
Again, placebo
Chamomile
effect.
tea is supposed to help you sleep.
I mean, it has some properties for doses and everything, but the body can get used to it pretty quickly. So after that, it's just, you know, a placebo effect.
Yeah, basically.
I guess.
There we go.
Tea is complicated.
There you go. We also got another pair.
I mean, that's it though, yeah. If you're looking for straight up pure caffeine, coffee's more your jazz than, say, tea.
Yes.
Tea can be used, but, you know, it's not as potent.
Anyway, we got another triangular key, which is for the last set of puzzles that involve both you and Double H, to also use the key at the same time. Classic type of puzzle like that. There you go.
You make it seem so easy, Jade.
We do that in the 3rd year.
Let's see, there should be... There you go, we need to ask Double H to push that.
Oh, I play this game. Okay, plus I choose your cigarette. And,
Unfortunately, we don't need that. We already see... There you go.
Unfortunately. Dude, I mean, it's probably for the best. Smoking is not good for you.
But Jova, I learned that it makes you pass time.
Yes.
And it allows you to change the direction of the wind.
Yes.
And it allows you to see lasers.
Yes, but at the expense of several years off your life and quite possibly some of the worst respiration you'll have.
Never mind that, Wibbs. Metal Gear 2 is where it's at, where you can change the direction of the fucking wind by smoking.
Honestly, I think I'll take the controlling time over changing the wind.
There we go. Thanks to Double H using his own triangular key, we can manage to bypass at least most of the lasers.
Nothing will, however, Shiro, nothing. Oh, sorry.
There you go.
Who's talking?
Double H.
No, I'm the guard. Who's talking back there?
Remember, Joe, the guards are really, really stupid. But it's time for a double takedown, similar in the way out, actually. Both like that, and 3, 2, 1, there you go.
Oh.
You were saying, Pedro?
You're not very good at teamwork, are you, too?
Well, the input lag, I blame on that.
yeah. It were input lag. Yeah.
Also, not enough QTs, 0 out of 10.
You sound like those. I cannot say you are, but you sound like those really amateur people who go on streams, who mess up the game and they're like.
Oh no! Actually, dudes, let me be like Igor Raptor for a second. But I don't need tutorial for this. 5 minutes later, how do I play this?
Why would you want ever to be like Igor
Hold on,
Raptor?
actually, this is important. Yeah, this is the last piece of the puzzle.
Oh boy.
The DomZ are definitely the proof. The DomZ are in the alpha section are kidnapping people, stuffing them in sarcophagi and sending them to the moon on their base.
So they're essentially putting them in the Egyptian equivalent of coffins.
Okay, I can see that Hiroki Chiba played this game.
I guess that's a twist of World of Final Fantasy, I suppose.
Yeah, yes. Let's just say
Mind you, Hiroki Chiba also wrote the Dirge of Cerberus. I discovered that recently, and that game also has some similar themes.
Well, I'll just say this. There's a plot twist in World of Final Fantasy that is very Taro-esque as well, but you'll see.
Interesting.
No, that's the thing.
Exclusive report in issue number 514 from Iris.
Shiro.
Yes.
Let's face it, nothing will ever top using the hoot of an owl to mistake a guard into thinking it's time.
I mean, you can't understand.
How did they get their jobs?
In stealth games, Waves guards tend to be very idiotic.
Honestly,
they're paid for less.
Honestly, guys, I think what takes the cake is defeating Quiet with a cardboard box.
It's basically
or Jova with a cargo dropping on her head.
Oh, yeah. Tia, have you ever tried dropping a horse on her?
You can.
Well, remember, this is exactly the same kind of logic you would see in a Roberta Williams game. You have to understand that back in those days, game designers didn't really think much in terms of plot consistency and logic. They were just thinking, oh, it's a puzzle with a solution. There you go.
If it looks funny, it's fine enough.
I don't care what you think, the moldy cheese would totally work in real life on a mechanism like that. I mean, hey, you've never seen a mechanism that complicated.
It's in a world that establishes magic. Having moldy cheese fuel a magic machine is not too far stretch. The problem with that, Jova, is the mere fact that up until that moment, the moldy cheese was not really established to be in connection with that. It was a player lacking information, just having to test an item on his own.
That I agree with.
That's what it's called, moon logic. I really recommend the videos of Pushing Up Roses, who explain in detail the concept and eventually the downfall of point-and-click game as a result of that.
Oh, you watched the show Pushing Up Daisies?
Pushing Up Roses.
She's adorable, and manages to explain what she can.
Oh no, Roses is wonderful.
Also, Jova, what Jova mentioned is an actual show, and yes, I remember it quite well. It was weird.
Anyway, we managed to get also the code that we needed to get out of this place thanks to our reportage. So it's time to actually, pack up our things. T78. All right.
Especially considering Paul Duggan just stopped making videos altogether for some reason.
The T1000.
Sorry, Louise, it's not that. There we go.
The governor's taking a lot of
The way the
risks by helping
text
us.
up there,
I hope
well,
to pay
that's
back one day.
like incorrect code.
I hope so too.
I don't know if you've
We have to get back to Iris.
Yeah, basically we need to get back to the Iris headquarters now. But go on, Pedro. This is going to take a bit.
I don't know if you've seen it, Teo, but back in the day, both Pushing Up Roses and Paul Duggan, I don't know if you know who he is.
Yeah, I know him.
But they made 2 streams, one of the King's Quest 2 GDI remake and the King's Quest 3. Well, actually, technically, in the second King's Quest 2, Roses was only in the chat, so we don't actually hear anything from her. But she was in the first half of the King's Quest 3, because King's Quest 3 is her favorite game. And it's really fun to watch her reaction, her first-time reactions to the changes. And she really likes the changes. There's even a point where Roses, despite being the big King's Quest 3 purist, really likes a certain change, and Paul's like, eh. So it's interesting. Like I was expecting it to be the other way around, considering how Roses is so protective of King's Quest 3, but no. So it's kind of interesting.
So yeah, sadly we weren't able to get Pey'j back. It seems.
I think that's another problem as well, if I may.
Go on.
Considering Pey'j is by far the most charismatic character in this entire game, I mean, no disrespect to the other characters, just that Pey'j is, isn't Pey'j the fan favorite even?
Well, not too much, but not. Yes, but he's also the one that's connected to Jade's past, as he mentioned in that disc. Anyway, it's time for another DomZ attack. In the meantime, yeah, I get what you mean in a sense that it's taken away from the player too early when it should. It's another one of the Serpent DomZ. But here's the thing, like I said, I honestly think it's probably tied to the overall short length of the game as a whole, and the revise as well.
Oh, trust me, too. I'm gonna have a lot to say about that in my final thoughts. No, I can definitely, even without looking into this game history, I can just tell. It's because it's so obvious. Just looking at this thing, it's kind of like with Suicide Squad in a way, where it's so easy to tell.
You mean the Academy Award-winning Suicide Squad?
Yes. Let me use Justice League. Let me use this movie as an example. It's so blatantly obvious in that movie which parts are the Joss Whedon parts and which parts are the Zack Snyder parts. It doesn't even feel like a complete movie. It's kind of a similar scenario with this game. It's so blatantly obvious which parts were cut to meet a deadline, and how completely devoid of time and resources Michelle was when it comes to trying to make this game, that it becomes really hard for me to even judge this as a complete game. Not in the sense that, not in the same way that Sonic 06 or anything like that. Sonic 06 was rushed to meet a deadline, but it still doesn't feel incomplete, if that makes any sense.
Sonic 06 feels like your complete plot. You got your 3 stories,
The
you
most
got all the
incomplete
levels.
thing,
The only thing that feels incomplete is stuff that's within the levels itself. But
Yeah,
the
not
story
just
itself
that,
does feel all there.
The most, as a non-Sonic main Sonic fan, as usual, I need to remind that the most incomplete things that I see in Sonic 06 is the involvement of the side characters, mainly Rouge, Knuckles, and Amy, for example.
Sure. It's most of the fact that, okay, Sonic 06 feels like, at the very least, it feels like somewhat representative of the creator's original vision, despite being clearly butchered. This game, on the other hand, this doesn't it doesn't feel like this. I genuinely believe that Michel Ancel was not satisfied with the final product. Because
it's funny because this is actually part of the reason why. Because
I can tell. You can tell that this is not up to his.
I jump cutted because there's another animal that I can get here. Basically, fireflies.
You know, it's funny you mentioned Michel Ancel not being satisfied because that's actually part of the reason why this game is so short, since apparently he wasn't satisfied with the first take they were going with the game on this. So you have to wonder how he felt about the final release then.
Well, mind you, he still was determined to give. Basically, I'm just showcasing the major animals that I can get, that I missed, that I can get from his. But basically, this is a disgusting slug. Mind you, he was still determined to finish his trilogy intention, because the sequel, Beyond Good and Evil 2, was announced as soon as 2008. Yes, it still took a bit, but it was still like 5 years.
I didn't realize that.
After the 4 or 5 years after the release of the game.
It got to a point, though, where that sequel kind of got to the point where everyone was thinking, yeah, that'll come out when Half-Life 3 comes out.
Then that's because of what Ubisoft was doing at the time. It was around the time they were shifting from they were entered the big boys competition. Therefore, also that's
let's flood our catalog with Tom Clancy games
and shifted towards an annual release of Assassin's Creed, taking the main spotlight.
It was the usual thing. Sacrifice what made them cartoony and iconic from more realistic and gritty.
Not to mention the also serialization of the Far Cry franchise. Another thing that you think instead, oh, I see you.
Hello there. Hello!
Helix rupestris.
Oh god damn it, it's the Helix fossil.
Praise Dome.
I didn't know you were a Dome supporter too.
Order over chaos, Jobba. But anyway, it's time to go again to the Iris headquarters, so I'll have to ask you to pay attention for a second. Whoop.
Nothing to see here.
Because it's down now to decide finally what to do with the domes, obviously, because we can't just stay here and
Jade, Double H,
there you go.
Perfect timing. We've been waiting for you.
Oh god, lady, what's going on with your face there?
It's the governess of Helis.
What happened to her face?
We already know each other.
Did she get caught in an accident or something?
Great service to us, Governor.
Without those codes, we wouldn't have been able to do anything. I am overjoyed to finally be able to meet you face to face.
God, it hurts to talk with my face like this.
It's like a Dr. Seuss character.
She looks like she came out of Lilo.
The code.
She looks like she came out of Lilo and Stitch, walked into Kingdom Hearts, and then came out of a Rumiko Takahashi manga, all fused
there
together.
You go. Now the game is kind of baiting you for this, but I'll mention this either at the beginning of the next part or at the end of this one. It's another key that you can get, the star key, but I'll mention this in a second.
Sure.
Hold on. Oh, the chief of Iris. Maybe we can actually know his identity.
Your chief?
No way. Could the chief be Pey'j?
I wonder.
Oh my god, it is Pey'j!
Oh.
Hey, that's my uncle.
He was the leader all along?
Our chief?
This is some 4D chess we're playing here.
With you by radio.
Security measure. Until now, nobody knew his real identity.
I mean, he used the wild boar code. You should have connected the fucking dots.
Don't make a sound.
So, had he escaped all along?
I don't have much time. They're everywhere. They've taken me to the moon.
Yeah.
Get this message to Jade, your new reporter. Read
Oh, we already did, Pey'j, don't worry.
That's what she said.
And yeah.
Gave you an M disk? Just before they kidnapped him.
Listen, Jade. This ship is essential. It's the missing element from our plan.
Yeah, guess what? The Iris network managed to prepare a propaganda plan, but actually did not have any ships ready to go to the moon. So,
Oops.
yeah, it's a good thing that Pey'j had one stored in the garage.
So Pey'j was the leader of the Iris Den. Why didn't he
It
just...
honestly kind of makes sense considering he's the one who has brought Jade here and seems to know what the DomZ are doing. But that's more stuff reserved for the end game and eventually for the second title.
I really do have to wonder how they're going to be able to fit all the explanation into what's left of this game, seeing as how... Well, then again, like you said, the last two parts are
You
pretty
can imagine a lot of things will be rushed, Jova. You're not sugarcoating this.
That's what I was talking about.
You know what I feel like this game could use? A remake. Like, I know we're only getting the second game, but this game really feels like it could use a remake to expand on it better.
And there you go, we also got more peril. Basically,
I love how they have a cutscene where he literally puts his helmet on only for the gameplay version of him to have his helmet off again.
But anyway, yeah, basically this minor dialogue is basically the other members of Iris knowing about Pey'j in the first place, but well, no, not knowing about him. But anyway, now you get more pairs. Now the main goal is to get the stabilizer from... first the stabilizer from the Mamago garage in order to get the Beluga working, and then managing to find the stellar motor, which is the other thing that is missing, to go to the moon. Problem is, it's still very expensive in terms of pearls, so the game is kind of giving you a choice here. The star key that the governor gave you opens up another mini dungeon into the Alpha section team that gives you actually a lot of pearl. Going there, though, kind of triggers a cutscene that kind of justifies a thing that the Alpha section does later. However, instead, if you manage to get a stabilizer, you can go, as I will show later, to a volcano, the one that the bartender of the Akuda bar was mentioning before, and you can get a lot of pearl also from there. So potentially, you can completely bypass one of the sections, but that's reserved for the next part, actually. For now, you just need to get the pearls from that the Hylians have gave to me.
I just got my order.
There you go. If you had to check the Mamago garage before, you get here the notice that the stabilizer is ready.
I hope that'll be enough for you. See you soon.
Okay.
The Iris network terrorists have been spreading slander
Of
against
course.
the Alpha sections. The so-called photographic evidence that have been appearing in their underground newsletter are nothing more than elaborate
Fake news.
And what proof do you have of that?
Those leaks are totally fake.
They were made by Drew Mission.
No, there's like that scene in Spider-Man 3 where Peter just digs up the evidence like in like 5-10 minutes. It's like, oh, by the way, your pictures are fake.
Oh, it's like in the Amazing Spider-Man clips, where Amazing Spider-Man 2, where they start with the montage with the shitty song "For You, For You." Sorry, but anyway,
what scene
go
was
on.
that? I can't remember.
The one where Peter pieces out together the location of his father train secret compartment.
All right, that one.
Yes, go on, Pedro. In the meantime.
No, like I was saying, it's so blatantly clear, at least to me, that this is not... Okay, let me put it like this, in a way that you'll understand then too. I think I understand now, despite the fact that this game... They told me this game ends in a cliffhanger, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, okay. yeah. Like I said, well, the main goal of the game is still respected. It doesn't, is not left hanging unfair. However, it's some of the questions tied to Jade, Pey'j, and the overall lore of the universe that are not, that are still left hanging.
Sure.
Go on.
I think I'm starting to realize why Beyond Good and Evil 2 is a prequel rather than a sequel.
Well, it was still bound to happen, mind you, because the cliffhanger concerns stuff also that happens in the past. So at some point, the sequel had to talk about this one way or another.
I see.
The decision to make it a prequel entirely makes complete sense to me, honestly.
There is still the rumor that it may be
makes
part...
all the more sense to me now.
But as Joe mentioned also in another part, there are people who think it's going to be sort of both prequel and sequel at the same time, jumping between past and future, and I can totally see that as well, honestly. But anyway, I'm gone. I'll say that.
For me, it's just I get the feeling he might also be able to take advantage to fill in the unresolved content, like the unfinished content of this game, maybe. Like try to insert the stuff that was left in the cutting room floor and putting it in the sequel and this game will basically now serve as a bridge between Beyond Good and Evil 2 and the eventual Beyond Good and Evil 3, maybe? Because I can see that happening. I think I'm starting to realize why he decided to go with the prequel angle, because it would be the best way to correct the flaws of this game without having to remake it.
Well, I'll leave that to the end, to the final thoughts and everything. But Jova, you wanted to add something?
Well, yeah, it's like I said, I feel like this game could use a remake, but, you know, like Trader said, maybe Beyond Good and Evil 2 will handle that, but I do wonder if maybe this game could use a remake. Like, well, it's sort of like how I feel Crash to Insanity could use a remake that includes all its cut content.
Yeah.
It's like, well, this is like it could use a remake.
I would also like that.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's really hard for me to judge this as a complete game because it's so abundantly clear that the developer wasn't able to put in even half of what he wanted originally. It's so clear.
Let me put it like this. I can see why you may have waited until we got Beyond Good and Evil 2 to get released because, you know...
I still technically had plans to record the game before Jova. It was just a matter of time, and I still had to figure how to make the Elgato work in 60 frames, mind you. But Beyond Good and Evil 2 second trailer was what pushed me, just so you guys could be, you know, at on a knowledge speed up thing.
I can definitely see why you guys
mention my final thoughts about what my stance is on this game at all. So for now, Jova, if you want something more to add.
Yeah, I'll just cap it up by saying I can see now why you and other fans were definitely hungry for that sequel because, you know, I'll admit, if we were playing this game without the context of there being a sequel finally being confirmed to actually exist, I definitely would get why you feel like, you know, you've kind of had a sequel coming because... Again, from what I understand, we're getting closer to the third act.
This is a franchise with a huge potential for storytelling and visuals and visuals. That unfortunately Ubisoft squandered for so long in favor of more easy targets. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, I don't blame it completely because, mind you, I have to remember that this game was a flop, commercial flop, and the initial reaction was not positive. So I can definitely also the thought processing say, let's just wait. But what I think is that they waited a bit too long. But that's a huge concern that I may also address preferably in the final thoughts. So for now, let's just cut this thing when we can. Shira, you wanted to add something too?
No, I don't think so.
All right, then. In the next part, we collect all the remaining pearls, and eventually, in the final finale, eventually we will be able to go to the moon. Unlike with Eggman, not to piece on it, thankfully. See ya.
See ya.
See ya.